So Bitcoin is pumping today. As we can see, today we saw a significant increase in the price of Bitcoin, bouncing all the way down from right around $82,000. At the time of recording this video, we made it all the way up to 85.5K. What is currently happening and why are we pumping ahead of the tariffs? In today's video, we'll be discussing exactly that and how you should be navigating this market. We'll also be going over some very interesting news that just came out. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. So we got that initial pump and we are now targeting the 200-day moving average. Break above here and break above this orange zone and it's game on for Bitcoin, targeting 91.8K. But I still have to warn you, this is still very much a downtrend. And while this does look like a very solid daily candle, one of the main reasons why we're pumping is because we saw stocks pump as well. And as we can see, stocks have been on a run since the low around $5,500. Now we are right around $5,650. Now, the stocks are still below the 200-day moving average, which is one of the most important levels for stocks that you need to pay attention to. For us to move higher, we definitely have to reclaim this level as support, and we've seen in the past that it has historically acted as support and resistance. If we're in some bad times ahead for the markets, it will likely act as resistance, as we can see here back in 2022. Every time that we peaked back above this line, we popped back lower, once again getting rejected time and time again. So a lot of people are saying that the reversal is here and that we will start to pump stocks and crypto alike. But if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, what we can see here is that we broke down from this wedge and we held the 81K level as support, which was offering a potential support level as discussed in the previous videos. So where can we get a bit of resistance now if I'm expecting the market to go lower? That would be right around this level, right around $86,000 if we are to make it there. It coincides exactly with this downtrend line that we've drew since the top all the way up to $109,000. And it also would end up coinciding pretty close with 86.5K to 87.5K, which is another very important level for us to cross. As we can see, it acted as resistance. And as I said in my previous videos, no one has a crystal ball and can predict exactly what the price action of Bitcoin will do. And I will say that in the short term here, I was wrong. I thought that this 81K level wouldn't hold as support. Yes, we discussed it as a potential support level, but my bias was still very much bearish ahead of these tariffs. So we got the bounce. The next levels that we need to pay attention to are right here. All of these lines are essentially coinciding. The downwards trend line as we drew, then we also have this orange zone, and we also have the 200-day moving average. This is going to be a very important level for Bitcoin to hold. But ultimately, I don't think that we will be able to resort higher from here. I think that this is just a little bit of a relief rally before we are to move lower, because I still think that there is some uncertainty with the tariffs. Now, what would really help Bitcoin to move higher immediately would be if stocks can sustain their uptrend and break above the 200-day moving average here, hold it as support, and then Bitcoin does have a very good chance to move higher. And I'll repeat myself, if that were to happen, we would want to hold this orange zone as support and then targeting 91.8K to hold that as support, which has previously been a major support level for Bitcoin. I think that if we are to even make it all the way up here, it would likely be a liquidity hunt because there's a ton of liquidity above the current levels that we could tap into before we potentially move lower. And what I'm talking about here is if we take a look at the liquidation heat map, this is of course the 48-hour. Yes, there's liquidity below, but if we zoom out to the longer time frames, let's take a 1-week time frame for example. As we can see, a ton of liquidity going all the way up into 91.8K, and we zoom out even more, say the 1-month time frame. What do you see? A lot more liquidity to the upside than the downside. So if we were to move up from here, I do think that we would tap into this liquidity. And for the bulls out there, there's also the possibility that all of this tariff stuff was blown completely out of proportion. And perhaps we can pump from here and see a sustained pump. Now, my base case, as I've been saying, I always give you my honest opinion. I think that we will ultimately resort lower from here, but As soon as we get those confirmations, as we see down below, and as we talked about in all of my previous videos, you can pause the video if you're new to the channel and read these confirmations, which will allow me to be bullish again on this market. Until then, I will still be favoring some more downturn. But if you traded this and you longed Bitcoin at this support level, right around $81,000, congratulations, because you're likely in significant profits. And that reminds me, if you want to trade the crypto market, make sure to click the first link in my description down below. It brings you directly to Weeks where you can earn a 50% deposit bonus. That means that if you deposit $2,000 to your Weeks account, you get $1,000 back for trading purposes, and that's only if you sign up with my link. You also only need an email and a password to sign up. And for those of you that don't want to use Weeks, I have an alternative, which is another very solid crypto exchange called BitFi, and you get a 15% cash back if you sign up with the second link in my description down below. Once again, all you need is an email and a password to sign up. And back to Bitcoin. You have my base case. Yes, this was a nice pump, and if you traded it, congratulations, but I still think that there's a lot of rejection points in this chart, and we will be moving lower. That is just my base case. You can make of that what you will. Maybe you have different opinions, and leave your comments down below. I'm curious to hear what you think of this Bitcoin price action and if the tariffs are blown out of proportion. Maybe you just think we will pump from here to all-time highs, but I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If we take a look at the spot ETFs, it is interesting though, because over the past few days, we've seen outflows for the first time in a while. Interesting because Bitcoin is currently pumping. I do believe when we get the data for today, there will probably be some significant inflows in line with how the stock market has also been performing. Looking at Ethereum, very minimal inflows, but I mean, hey, these are still some inflows after seeing significant outflows for the longest time ever. Perhaps this is starting to turn around. And usually when I talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum, I like to also touch on Solana. This was interesting. As you know, Pump Fund earns their revenue in Sol, and they just continue to sell that Solana on Kraken. We saw today that they deposited 65,000 Solana worth around $8.2 million on the Kraken exchange, likely to just sell as they've been doing. And something else with Pump Fund that I wanted to share with you in this video, absolutely crazy. I hope it's just an April Fool's joke, but basically they introduced PumpFi, the Ape Now, Pay Later solution for every asset and liability on Solana. So what this means is basically it allows you to buy meme coins now and pay later with monthly installments. This to me just makes gambling even worse. I cannot fathom this, and I really hope that it's just a joke. But so far, they haven't confirmed that it's a joke or that it has anything to do with April Fools. Perhaps tomorrow they'll come out and talk about it, but this is simply just not good. A lot of people have dug themselves into very deep holes because of meme coins, and this arrangement will make these holes even deeper. Guys, don't play around with this. If you can't afford to buy a meme coin, don't sign up to pay for it in monthly installments. Okay, so now that we have all of that out of the way, let's talk about the tariffs a little bit more. We talked about what kind of tariffs were going to be imposed in a previous video, but there's some more news that came out talking about some reciprocal tariffs. This just came out as I was recording my video, but the Mexican president says a response to the US tariffs will be announced on April 3rd. Bitcoin volatility incoming, as Crypto Rover put it here, and I tend to agree. The volatility is only going to get worse and worse, and ultimately, it's a trader's paradise, to be fair. I mean, if you manage your positions accordingly and you're taking reasonable risk, you can make significant profits with all of this volatility. So to me, volatility just screams opportunity, but I think this is the first of many tariffs that we will see in reciprocation to what the US is currently doing. More countries will come out and impose these new tariffs to the US, and this will just cause even more of a tariff war. Now, this is part of the reason why I do think that Bitcoin and the stock market will likely continue lower, and this is just a little bit of a relief rally. Previously, my thesis was that we would just see red up until the tariff day, and then on the tariff day, we would actually pump. But now, after today's pump, I think that we could see lower levels much sooner than most people are anticipating. And the next thing that I really wanted to discuss is Michael Saylor. He bought some more Bitcoin as of last week, and we can see that his average price was once again higher than the current price, right around $87,000, and he's currently down $47 million on this position, naturally because he bought nearly $2 billion of Bitcoin, as we can see right here. And there's some serious concern here, I would say, because he is currently only up 25% all time on his Bitcoin purchases. And I mean, guys, he was purchasing Bitcoin all the way back into September 2020. You would hope that his position would be way more in profits than it currently is. And that's probably just because he's been buying significant amounts of Bitcoin right around the top. As you can see on the chart, all of these green dots up here, right around $100,000 for Bitcoin. Now, in the future, I think that he'll likely be fine so long as he gets to a point where maybe he stops buying Bitcoin. I don't think he ever plans on selling it, as he said in multiple interviews, but ultimately, it's pretty shocking to me that he's only up around 26%, and he's been buying for the longest period of time. And you'll remember that in my recent video, we went over the fact that tomorrow is tariffs, April 4th is the unemployment data, and April 10th will be the inflation data. But we also shouldn't forget the fact that the US Treasury and federal agencies will disclose their Bitcoin and crypto holdings on April 5th, which is also this week, as directed by President Trump. Now, this is big news because we'll finally get to see what cryptocurrencies the US government is actually holding, and potentially they will allude to the fact that they will be accumulating some more. And just a quick thought here on if the bottom is in. I tend to agree with this account over here on Twitter. I follow them. I really like their analysis, so I would also recommend that you go ahead and follow them. But basically, if you're looking for a bottom, capitulation is needed. As shown below, the volatility index has not shown any clear signs of capitulation yet. In fact, the initial drawdown and this post-bull trap drop have generally been orderly. We haven't seen true panic in the market yet. And as we can see, the first drop into the correction territory, the second drop into the correction territory. So I think that stocks will likely get rejected, and if they are to move higher, they would likely get rejected right around the 200-day moving average. Then we also have Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is a little bit of a trickier predicament because it's a lot more volatile than stocks, but naturally it will still follow the same trajectory, which is why, as I've been saying, my main thesis for trading is that we will be moving lower and ultimately we will get rejected around these levels. And that sums up today's quick market update. We finally got a nice relief rally for Bitcoin. If you're in your longs, congratulations, you're likely made a lot of profits. But if you are still looking for shorts, I would wait at those key levels for a rejection. We have a huge week ahead with the tariffs set to come out tomorrow, and we will likely see some more reciprocal tariffs from other countries. Then we also have some more data coming out, such as inflation and unemployment, which will obviously impact the markets. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe as I keep you covered and in the loop on a daily basis. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.